Fisk unit. Fisk unit. What's good, y'all? Fist Vegas, the hardest voice of sports. Go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe to the Fist Schooner while you at it. Y'all know what time it is. If you ain't with it, you best get with it. Now let's rock. Okay, I'm gonna get straight to the point. Everybody's talking about rebuild versus the future. And I'm not like the rest of these content creators who try to say the right thing and sound like everybody else, and they think they work for the Giants, so they're real filtered. I don't got time for that. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. That's what I do. Okay, that's just what I do. I don't know how to be filtered. I don't know how to be PC. I don't know how to lie to y'all. So I'm going to give you your medicine. Okay, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And the truth of the matter is, whoever says the Giants are in the middle of a rebuild is stupid. I'm not in the middle. I'm not in the mood. Okay, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, whoever says the Giants are at the beginning of a rebuild, stop. What are you talking about? Okay, the Giants are exactly where we're supposed to be. Look at the team. Okay, in order to rebuild something, you have to start from scratch. Gettleman already did that. Gettleman, Joe Judge, they started the rebuild 2 years ago. The Daniel Jones era was the start of the rebuild. In 2020, the Giants were supposed to win the division, but the Eagles wanted to tank, and Everett Engel got Butterfingers. Last year, we were a game out of the wild card spots with tiebreakers over the Saints and the Eagles. Daniel Jones gets hurt. Why are y'all surprised that we're 6-2 right now? The natural progression for the Giants, who should have gone to the playoffs for 2 straight seasons, our natural progression is to be a good team right now. What are we rebuilding? Outside of Kenny Galladay, Adoree Jackson, and Leonard Williams, the whole team is basically on rookie contracts. Okay, how do you rebuild a team full of first contract players? What are you rebuilding? There's nobody to get rid of. This isn't the Saints, where the Saints the Saints have a lot of older players. They got a clean house. That's a rebuild. Green Bay, when they get rid of Rodgers at the end of the year, because he's probably going to retire, that's a rebuild. When Tom Brady retires from Tampa next year, that's a rebuild. The Giants, we're young. There's nothing to rebuild. Stop saying Joe Schoen is in a rebuild. This is not a rebuild. Joe Schoen is trying to fine-tune what we already have. Nobody wants to talk about it, but Gettleman gave Joe Schoen a good team. Gettleman couldn't pick the coach. Gettleman already did the rebuild. Our rebuilding years was 2019, 2020 was our rebuilding year. Gettleman went out and got Adoree and Galladay. He went and got Blake Martinez in 2021 because that was the year we were supposed to compete. Remember, the Giants are still on a timeline. So when Joe Schoen comes in, all he has to do is fix what Gettleman couldn't, which is the offensive line. He got Evan Neal, bing bong. Kayvon Thibodeau to go with Ojulari, bing bong. You got a good coach in Brian Dable, bing bong. That's all he had to do. He didn't have to do what Gettleman did. When Gettleman took over the team, OBJ, Jack Rabbit, Snacks Harris, JPP, all these old, Olivier Vernon, all these old guys, that was a rebuild. Gettleman had to tear it down to the bones and rebuild the team. Joe Schoen does not have to do that. Everybody on the Giants is young. Everybody's on their first year contract except for a handful of players. Everybody. There's nothing to rebuild. Joe Schoen is adding the cherry on top of the ice cream. That's what he's doing. So when everybody says, when your local beat reporters and your local YouTubers and your local Twitter personalities, when they say Joe Schoen has to choose between ruining the rebuild or competing this year, I think you sound ignorant. There's nothing for Joe Schoen to rebuild. Joe Schoen is is in position to win. He's not. This is not a rebuild team. This isn't a situation like I just explained to y'all what a rebuild is. What Tampa and New Orleans and Green Bay, what those teams are going to have to do is a rebuild. What Gettleman did a couple years is a rebuild. Giants fans, let me ask you a question. Joe Schoen's going to take a receiver in the first round, right? Okay, and he's going to pay Saquon and he's going to pay Daniel Jones, right? Let me ask you a question. What would you rather have, hypothetically speaking? Would you rather have a proven commodity, a wide receiver? Jeudy can probably go for a second. DJ Moore can probably go for a second. What would you rather do? Get smoked in the wild card round, have no chance of winning for the rest of the season, and draft a young receiver who might turn out like Kadarius Toney and not be good? Or would you rather give up the draft capital for a proven commodity and compete now? Notice I didn't mention Brandon Cooks because Brandon Cooks doesn't fit our timeline. Brandon Cooks doesn't fit the timeline. How can you ruin the future of a rebuild if you get DJ Moore, who was in the same draft class as Saquon Barkley? How can you ruin a rebuild if you get Jeudy, who was in the same draft class as Daniel Jones? They fit the timeline. Chase Claypool, if we get Chase Claypool, he was in the same draft as Xavier McKinney and Andrew Thomas. I don't understand these talking heads when they tell me going to get a wide receiver is ruining a rebuild. How can you ruin a rebuild when you're getting players that fit the timeline? I don't get it. The negativity around this team makes me sick. We're 6-2, and these people who cover the team, they act like we're supposed to be grateful to be 6-2. They act like we're some sorry team that has no business being 6-2, and Joe Schoen should just throw in the towel, not try to compete, and just lose. That's ignorant. It's ignorant to me. I don't understand it. If Joe Schoen goes out there and gets Brandon Cooks, I'm going to be like, I'm not going to complain about it because I want to win this year. But at the same time, it's like, why would you get a 30-year-old who doesn't fit our timeline? DJ Moore, Jeudy, Elijah Moore, Chase Claypool. They're all the same age as Saquon and Daniel Jones and all these other guys. They're the same age. Andrew Thomas. They're the same age as Ojulari and Xavier McKinney. How can you be ruining the future rebuild if you're bringing in players that are the same age as the timeline of all your best players? Why do we want to go get a rookie and hope he's good and teach him how to win? I don't understand it. You want to win in 2023 with a rookie receiver? No, that makes no sense. Oh, we got to get ready for 2023. 2023 is the year we're going to be good. So now we're just going to be good. How's a rookie receivers working in Green Bay right now? Oh, they got Christian Watson and they got Romeo Doubs. How that working out? I want to do all this rookie receiver crap. How that rookie receiver George Pickens doing in Pittsburgh right now? Not everybody's going to be Justin Jefferson. Okay, not everybody's going to be Odell Beckham. That's luck. My mind is blown that there's people out there saying we shouldn't trade for a wide receiver because it'll ruin our rebuild. Jeudy is the same age, is the same class as Daniel Jones. Chase Claypool is the same class as Andrew Thomas. DJ Moore is the same class as Saquon Barkley. How exactly will we be ruining our rebuild if we brought in a player at a position of need that we're going to take in the draft anyway? Well, how will we ruin our rebuild? I want somebody, I'll never make a YouTube video again if somebody can explain to me how taking draft capital that we're going to use in April to get a receiver, to get that receiver right now who's the same age as our best players, how the hell does that mess our rebuild up? I'll never make another YouTube video again if somebody can prove me wrong. So yeah, man, I'm not going to get Jeudy with that second round pick because I want to go in the draft and take some random out of college. How Wandale look right now? How that look? I'll wait. I'll wait. Man, I ain't got nothing else to say. I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall sometimes because it's like I'm the only one preaching out this message. I feel bad for y'all because when you're not watching my videos, when you're not on my channel, you go to these other idiots' content and they just spew bubblegum PC nonsense to y'all and it pollutes your mind. I feel like I feel like every time I whatever. That's it. That's all. Subscribe to the unit if you rocking with me. My name is Fist Vegas, and I approve this message.